A very warm welcome to the show Suddenly Single. Suddenly Single is the show that encourages someone outside there who is married, who is not married, divorced, widow, and we are here to give out story. If you're bold enough, come out and join the show Suddenly Single to give out your story. Because you know what? Someone outside there needs your story. Your story is going to change his or her life. Because the moment you tell your story to someone outside there, you are going to rescue that person who wants to commit suicide because he or she cannot stand the storm that she finds herself in. I'm here with my guest, James. James, introduce yourself to us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. My name's James Ouma Udhiambo. Most of all, I love the Lord Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. And I am here to share my story since many people, what you see in many people is not who they really were or who they were meant to be.
Okay, James, tell us yourself. Are you single, married? Who is James?
James at the moment is not married. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, tell us your story. What's your story? I believe your story is going to touch someone outside there. It's going to touch some young man outside there, young woman. I mean, because you see, stories keeps on repeating themselves. You're not the first one, you're not the last one, neither are you the last one. But I'm sure when you tell someone your story, when you speak your story, you are going to touch someone outside there.
Thank you so much. My story basically is a story of a person whose dreams and visions and aspirations were almost to be brought to an end. Being born in a family that was not so bad and not so well to do, I believe that the moment or the day that I was born, my star was already shining, and God had a plan for this life. And as everybody will understand, is that not everybody is happy with your star and your destiny.
So, what happened with your life at some point?
I grew up, went to school normally, but what is amazing is that what you're seeing now is not what I used to be then. Because by then now, I became a totally different person. Different in that I was a total drunkard. I got myself into drinking and smoking at a very early age.
What were you smoking? Bang, cigarettes? What were you smoking?
Huko mtaa kulikuwa wanaita ndom.
Ndom. Kumaanisha nini? Meaning what?
It is the weed. Yes. Kwa kitandom, the weed or something like that. So, leaving home, my mom knows that I was going to school. But on the way, I could not reach the school. So I could divert and get myself into this group of young people whose job was to indulge in smoking weed, drinking, and going out, stealing from people to sustain that habit. And so, the reason why I said your star at some point might be dimmed out is because you never know how you get yourself into such. You only find yourself into a group whereby your mind now tells you that this is the best thing that can happen in my life.
So how old were you when you joined the group? How old were you?
I was around 16.
Oh, okay. Were you living back in the rural or here in Nairobi?
I was with my parents in Nairobi, and so was going in to a day school. So instead of going to school at some time, I divert and go out and start indulging myself in such kind of activity. boys. And at some point, now it became so bad that we went out and now started stealing from people, snatching women's handbags.
During the day or at night?
During the day.
Whoa.
Because we used to, you go as if you're going to school in the morning, and you don't get to school. So what else do you do? Is going back and doing the stealing and snatching of handbags and all that. And once you get the money, is go out clubbing in town, and then coming back. That was the same routine all the time. So in the evening you go back home, your mom thinks like you are from school. And indeed you're very high and like, in fact I would tell mothers to be very keen with their children, because you never know whether this young man amekunywa maji, ama hajakunywa maji, ama amekunywa juice, ama ni pombe.
So, is there any particular day that you were caught stealing or something, or it just went smoothly? I mean, was there any single day that you were caught?
I was arrested.
Whoa.
At some point, and we were taken to the juvenile courts in town. And so this day, we went and stole some I think it was a handbag and some things from a certain lady. So the lady went to the police and came, and we were arrested. And so we went to the juvenile courts, and we were given some probation to go to remand, to remand, and then come back after the probation officer gets our report. So on that day that we were to be taken to the remand prison, that very day we attempted to escape from that vehicle. And we were around 5 or 6 in that car vehicle. It was a small pickup.
Yeah.
So at the back, we were 5 young men and 2 policemen. So I was seated beside a policeman, and this policeman, alikuwa anaitwa Rotino. So we decided like I will take him, and the other guy takes him. Atufungue mlango tufanye nini?
At the age of 16?
Yes.
Oh. Yes.
Unfortunately, when the vehicle was almost around Parliament Road, so I took this policeman, and the other young man took the other one. So I think the policeman in front had a commotion. So when 2 or 3 of our young men escaped, I was not able to escape, because the policeman had come from the front seat and just held a gun to my head and said, wewe ukijaribu nakupiga risasi. And from that point, I was taken to some place, I don't know where it was. I had a thorough beating. Just found myself in the morning without shoes, everywhere aching, and I was taken back to court, attempting to escape.
So the boys that you were with them, they managed to escape?
Yes.
So the 2 of you remaining,
We were the ones who never escaped.
All right.
I don't know why, but we never managed to escape. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we were taken back to court. And all this time, my mom used to come and see me there. She used to pray with me.
Where? In the court or in the jail?
There are cells there.
Cells.
Juvenile court, there are cells for the young. And so she used to come, see me and pray. So when she came and she was told, huyu alijaribu kutoroka, wengine wametoroka, I was beaten, and so she never knew whether I was well or dead or something until she was allowed to see me, and she just prayed.
So by that time, were you still going to school, or you stopped going to school completely?
I was in school.
All right.
Yeah. So the problem happened that once we were caught, I was not, at that period, I was not able to go to school. Yes.
And the gang, the boys that you joined, were they also going to school, or they were not going to school?
They were going to school.
All right, so all of you are schoolboys by then?
Schoolboys by then.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And so we were taken to court, and there was this young man whom also we were indulging in the same activities with. This young man was able to get a probation, na akaachiliwa. So me, I was sentenced
to how many years?
To 3 years. It was in Mombasa.
In Mombasa.
As a juvenile institution.
That's where they transferred you from Nairobi to Mombasa?
From Nairobi to Mombasa. So I went there, and I stayed there for that period of time. And then after that I came back. Now more hard than
so, all right. So how long did it take? I mean, when you came back after 3 years of sentencing, did you continue in the same thing, or was there any change? Were you planning to change? What was happening?
Now I graduated from
juvenile to
what? Breaking into houses.
During the day or at night?
At night.
Okay. Now you graduated. So you didn't feel like you wanted to change at that particular time? Nothing was happening in your life?
At that moment, my mind never thought of anything else.
So what was the feeling? What kept you going? Even though you were arrested, sentenced to 3 years, and then coming back still, you didn't want to give up, you continued instead. What kept you going? What motivated you to continue more and more?
More and more in crime. You see, it is something that I believe that you yourself, within yourself, you think you are on the right track, and you think like you're doing the right thing. But on the contrary, you are on the wrong track. That is why I started by saying that your life can be redirected at some point with forces that you do not understand. Because even if somebody asks you, why were you stealing?
You can't
explain.
You can't explain.
Why were you not going to school? And you felt like, I should not go to school, I should go and steal. You can't explain.
Yeah.
But it is something that at that moment you don't see anything else. All you see is like, wewe ni kuenda, kuiba, pata pesa, kuenda club na you see. But one thing I love is that every time my mom never gave up, because she kept on praying. And at some point she could even tell me when I came home drunk, and she could just say, Wewe, you are hooked up. And God has you in his hands. That's right, viewers.
That's why sometimes I say it's very important to pray for our children. You pray for them, even if they are there outside, I mean in school, in boarding school, wherever they are. It's very important as a parent, as a father, as a mother. Always pray for your children. Pray for their future. Pray for the spirit of influence not to come upon their lives. Now you can hear the story from our brother James Ouma. The mother kept on praying all the time. And I believe the prayer of his mother saved his life. Prayer, prayer, prayer. Without prayer, prayer breaks every yoke of the enemy. I'm very sure that through that prayer, that is why he's even here today with us and boldly speaking about his story without any shame or fear. Now, Brother James, so how did you, when did you start changing? When did the change came? How did it start? What happened? What made you to, at what particular time? How old were you when you felt that I need to move out of this thing, I need to change my ways and start doing good things before God? Apart from that, were you born again when you started changing? How did you receive Christ?
I wasn't born again by that time. But I would say that my mom played a big role in shaping us spiritually, even though I used to be all sorts of bad things. But she kept on insisting, and just feeding our minds with the word of God. And she never gave up. You know. At times she could pick us up and we went to a crusade. And we just go to the crusades and atuambia wewe hata kama umelewa kaa tu hapo usikie. And you just sit there. And by the way, those things sink in your mind. And when God decides to realign your life, then it happens suddenly, because now a time came that now I was completely unable to do anything else. I was addicted to alcoholism. And
how old were you by then?
It was around 20.
Oh, so it kept on like for 6-7 years.
6-7 years.
Wow.
And,
okay.
And now I was not a person you would wish to be associated with.
So you stopped going to school completely?
At some point I stopped from prison. Now I went back again.
You went back to school?
Yes.
Okay. So when you went back to school, then that is when at the same time you are now breaking at night?
Yes, at night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we never wanted anybody to know what we were doing. So we thought we were very clever. But I came to realize now is when I see that it is a way that was directed for our death.
So what made you felt like that? Was there any incident? I mean, how did you start feeling that I need to stop what I'm doing? How?
After now the death of my parents.
Both your parents?
Yes.
All right.
So a time came that I could just sit and think of what my mom used to do. And the way she used to cry for us, and the way she used to pray, and she used to say, God has a plan for you. This is not what God. In fact, she used to say, she used to pray and ask God to give her back her son.
Her son. That's right. That is a very powerful prayer, you know. Sometimes when you're praying, just tell God what you want. Don't beat around the bush. Tell God that I want my son to be this and this. Because you see, the Bible says that ask and it shall be given unto you. I strongly believe in that prayer, that if I tell God that, God, I want my son to serve you, I direct his path to this and that, God will surely do that, because he is a God that answers every prayer, all our prayers. Now, James, what advice can you give to the young people who are involved in such kind of activities? And what advice can you give to the parents? Because you see, as a parent, you need to know your son. You know, most of the time, our children go to school, they come back from boarding, they come back. We don't even spend time with them. So it turns up that you don't know our children. So what advice can you give? First of all, what advice can you give to people, to boys, I mean, to ladies? Because you see, when it comes to drinking, so many people, even girls, get involved. What advice can you give to youth? And what advice can you give to parents? Because by then you are 16 years old. When you started, I'm sure your mom didn't realize that, but at some point she realized. So how did she realize, and what advice can you give to both parents and the youths?
I would love to tell the parents that it is very important for you to stand in the gap for your children. Because when you sit back and don't get involved in the life of your child, spiritually, physically, and in any other way, then you will find out that you know nothing about that child.
That's right.
And so when you stand in the gap for your family and for your children, for real, God answers prayers. And whatever you declare and decree, then it shall come to pass.
That's right.
For the young men, nothing is more good in this world than living a life that is directed by Christ. Every other thing is like the chaff of the wheat. It goes away in a second, because you'll find yourself going out, going to clubs, doing all sorts of things, stealing and doing. And when you look at it properly, it is just directing you